What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back in audio and video form for today's Four Corners for today's 9-game NBA main slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com and presented by Super Draft. It's been a long week without all my YouTube pals, but we're back after our little suspension got lifted, so let's get that power of positivity back in the air for the return of the Four Corners on YouTube. And right now, please hit that like button, and if you want your chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus courtesy of Super Draft, please like this video and comment your top value play down below. Nobody got in our last Four Corners video before the suspension gods penalized us from above. So let's get back on track today, and right now, like this video and comment your top value play down below. But we have to cherish our time together because it's just a few short days before the NBA All-Star break. So let's get it going with our first corner of the top owned plays, and Victor Oladipo in a game versus Brooklyn. There was 111.8 implied points for Indiana. Oladipo has 71% expected ownership on Draftkings, while he has 19% on FanDuel. Oladipo is too cheap on Draftkings for a starter playing 26 plus minutes and 29% usage, with him due for positive regression on his 28% shooting from the floor thus far, but some risk he doesn't have as big of a ceiling in line with his insane ownership. And another top-owned play today looks like Bruce Brown in a game versus Charlotte, where it's 104.5 implied points for Detroit. Brown's got 38% expected ownership on Draftkings, while he's 54% on FanDuel. Brown hasn't seen an appreciable uptick in usage despite Svi Mikhailiuk and Derrick Rose out, as well as Andre Drummond traded, but his price is reasonable for someone who's played over 33 minutes in his last 5 games. And our last top-owned play is his teammate Christian Wood in that game versus Charlotte, where it's 104.5 implied points for Detroit. Wood is 44% expected ownership on Draftkings, while he has 19% on FanDuel. Wood is more appropriately priced on FanDuel, but on Draftkings, he's still too cheap with a 19% rebound rate with 27% usage in 2 games since Drummond was traded, along with over 35 minutes in both of those games. And now for our next corner, let's talk about some of the top value plays, starting with Serge Ibaka in a game versus Minnesota. There was 119.8 implied points for Toronto. Ibaka's cheap on both sides after a down game last time out, with his size needed versus Karl Anthony Towns, and him likely to see some lax defense and a pace-up spot at home versus Minnesota. And another top value play looks like a new Timberwolf and Juancho Hernan-Gomez in that same game at Toronto, where there's 110.8 implied points for Minnesota. Juancho didn't have a ton of usage with 12% in his T-Wolves debut, but he saw 27 minutes despite some foul issues, and it seems like he could get back on track with his role secure even if D'Angelo Russell makes his debut tonight. And our last top value on FanDuel in particular is Fred VanVleet in that game versus Minnesota, where there's 119.8 implied points for Toronto. VanVleet is especially cheap on FanDuel, and he seems worth a ton of ownership if the currently questionable Kyle Lowry misses again in this pace-up spot versus Minnesota's weak guard defense. And now for our next corner, here are some other core plays that I'm looking at, starting with Nikola Vucevic in a game versus Atlanta, where there's 113.5 implied points for Orlando. Atlanta remains weak inside, with Clint Capella unable to debut, and Vooch has seen over 47 fantasy points in his last 2 games, with the bonus that Atlanta just played a double overtime game last night. Another possible core play looks like his teammate Evan Fournier in that game versus Atlanta, where there's 113.5 implied points for Orlando. Fournier is far more points dependent than his teammate Vooch, but he'll have some easy looks against Atlanta's higher pace and their 111.1 defensive rating. And my last of the current core plays is Kristaps Porzingis in a game versus Utah, where there's 108.3 implied points for Dallas. Porzingis had his first down day without Luka as foul issues got to him on Friday versus Washington, but he was over 56 fantasy points in his 3 games before that, and he'll be less owned despite a lower price in a matchup that may be tougher on paper than it is in real life. And now for our last corner, here are some lower owned dart throws that I'm looking at, starting with Reggie Jackson in that game versus Charlotte, where there's 104.5 implied points for Detroit. Reggie's price is appropriate with his 30% usage in this post-Andre Drummond world for Detroit. He's yet to have an outlier day despite over 36.75 fantasy points in the 2 games after the Drummond trade. And a priced up lower owned dart throw that I'll have some of is Karis LeVert in a game at Indiana, where there's 105.8 implied points for Brooklyn. LeVert averages 45.5 fantasy points in his last 3 games without Kyrie Irving, including 51.25 fantasy points versus a comparably tough Toronto team, and his price is up to an uncomfortable level that'll keep his ownership down. And a Toronto lower owned dart throw that I like is Terrence Davis in a game versus Minnesota, where there's 119.8 implied points for Toronto. Davis has over 35 fantasy points in 3 out of his last 4 games, and while he could start again if Lowry misses, he's also been good off the bench, and we'll see some weak defense and a pace up today at a reasonable price versus Minnesota. So that's what I'm seeing so far for today's 9-game slate. So right now, please hit that like button. If you want your chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus before the All-Star break, right now, like this video and comment your top overall value according to Draftkings salaries down in the comments below. And as always, those free months of Awesemo Plus come courtesy of Super Draft. So right now, check out Super Draft at superdraft.io or by downloading Super Draft in the App Store. And when you sign up, use the promo code Awesemo to get yourself $20 free with a deposit of $100 or more. So go right now to Super Draft and also tune into our special Live Before Lock Super Draft special tonight. The last half hours of the show, right after all the other DFS sites lock, we'll be bringing you all the best Super Draft picks tonight on Live Before Lock. So go check them out right now and sign up at superdraft.io and use that promo code Awesemo Awesemo to get yourself $20 free. And if you want some more data in your life, use this promo code Switch and Hedge for half off your first week of any Awesemo Plus packages. We have data for the NBA, NHL, PGA, MMA, and the XFL. We got our projections there with a lot of guys winning money off of them this weekend. So get a package that'll get you all those right now with the promo code Switch and Hedge for half off your first week at awesemo.com/join. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I've got a ton of DFS content coming out every day. And when things like the YouTube channel going down happen, you'll find out from my Twitter. So go follow me right now on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'll be back on Live Before Lock later today with the Chubster Josh Engelman. So tune in then. And of course, I'll be back with you guys for another Four Corners tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you had a great week without me, but you'll have a better one with me, I'm sure. I appreciate all of you watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. So enjoy your nights and good luck.